a unique opportunity for anime and manga fans. If you're a One Piece fan, I'm sure you'd love to draw your favorite characters. Now you can get 2 amazing books for free. The first book will teach you drawing techniques, and the second one will show you how to create art directly on your phone without even needing to draw. You'll be able to create stunning virtual artwork just like the one on your screen right now. Both books are completely free if you act fast and click the link in the description. Don't waste time. This is a one-of-a-kind opportunity. Hey there, pirates. Welcome aboard the Anime No Mi channel. Kaido is returning, and at this moment, he will join Luffy and the Straw Hat Pirates. Exactly. Even though it seems impossible, this will happen, and you will understand in today's video how. I hope for your support to help our crew win, and to do so, you just need to click the thumbs up button, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel. By doing this, you will win an incredible devil fruit, so just comment which fruit you want. Guys, you know that the line between villain and ally is often thin when we look at the One Piece manga. And characters who initially seemed unchangeable find redemption in surprising ways. Because of this, it's possible to speculate that Kaido, even after losing to Luffy and Wano, might return and more impressively, seek a place alongside the Straw Hat Pirates. This possibility, although initially unlikely, has solid foundations based on Eiichiro Oda's narrative. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be making a video about it. And there are specific chapters that help support this theory. Let's explore, step by step, how Kaido could find his way into Luffy's Grand Fleet, perhaps bringing with him King, his loyal ally. First, it's important to understand Luffy's philosophy regarding enemies. Since the beginning of the series, he has never had the habit of taking the lives of his adversaries. On the contrary, what Luffy always seeks is to destroy the dreams or goals of the villains. This is confirmed by Oda himself, who stated in interviews that for Luffy, defeating someone means something more significant than taking their life. Luffy's strength isn't just in his devastating attacks, but in his ability to break the convictions of his enemies, as he did with Crocodile in Alabasta or with Doflamingo in Dressrosa. This approach is perhaps what makes Luffy so different from other shonen protagonists. A recent example reinforces this: the defeat of Elder Saturn. In the latest chapter, we see Saturn failing in his mission, but he wasn't defeated by Luffy. What removed him from the board was Imsama for failing to follow orders. This reaffirms that Luffy doesn't act like an executioner. He prefers moral victory and the breaking of spirit, leaving the consequences to fall on the defeated by their own actions. And it's in this context that Kaido, even after being defeated, may still play a role in the narrative. After all, he didn't lose his life, he simply lost his fight, something he himself seemed to be expecting. Kaido has always been in search of something greater than mere power. Ever since King shared with him the legend of Joy Boy, Kaido has relentlessly sought to find this savior, believing that only Joy Boy would be capable of defeating him. During the Wano arc, this quest became clear in his actions and motivations. In chapter 1049, Kaido confronts Luffy in his maximum form, and it's in this confrontation that he finally recognizes something. Joy Boy had returned and was standing before him. This epiphany was not just a physical defeat, but spiritual. Kaido found what he had been searching for all his life and accepted the loss because for him, this was the destiny that awaited him from the start. He didn't see the defeat as humiliating, but as an inevitable conclusion to his journey as the strongest creature in the world. And here enters the possibility of Kaido seeking an alliance with Luffy. If we consider Kaido's words in chapter 1049, he says that only Joy Boy could take him off the King of Beasts throne. However, this doesn't mean he would completely disappear from the manga. He might have survived his fall into the lava, and now he might want to know what Joy Boy will do next. For Kaido, discovering what Luffy will achieve as Joy Boy could be more important than anything he has ever sought. He spent decades searching for answers, and now those answers are personified in Luffy. Therefore, it makes sense that Kaido would want to ally with the Grand Fleet, even if not directly with the main crew. However, there is a major obstacle to this happening: the harm Kaido caused to the people of Wano. Luffy, more than anyone, understands the suffering of Wano at Kaido's hands. The pain Kaido brought to Oden, to Momonosuke, and to the citizens of the country is not something that can be simply forgiven. In chapter 970, Kaido breaks his promise with Oden to have a fair fight, and this led to Oden's execution, an event that deeply marked not only the people of Wano, but also the Straw Hat Pirates, who witnessed the consequences of this betrayal. For Luffy, who values freedom and respect for others' dreams above all, accepting Kaido could be a huge emotional emotional obstacle. Still, Luffy's relationship with his Grand Fleet might open the door to this possibility. Luffy has never asked anyone to join the fleet. In fact, he doesn't even consider the Grand Fleet his official fleet. Each captain acts independently and follows their own goals, although all are willing to answer Luffy's call in times of need. This dynamic was recently exemplified with Bartolomeo. In chapter 1058, Bartolomeo causes trouble by invading Shanks' territory, but when confronted, he accepts that Shanks can do whatever he wants with him as long as Luffy isn't harmed. This kind of loyalty, even if disorderly, is what defines the Grand Fleet. Kaido could easily adopt a similar stance, acting independently, but with the goal of facilitating Luffy's journey, even without his knowledge or consent. Kaido's redemption could be built as that of an anti-hero in One Piece. He would no longer be a classic villain, but someone searching for a greater purpose, facing enemies like the Marines or even Blackbeard to pave an easier path for Luffy and his crew. This transition from villain to anti-hero wouldn't come without challenges, especially considering his past, but it would be an interesting and coherent evolution within the narrative of One Piece. With this in mind, Kaido's return might not only be possible, but also necessary for the conclusion of his own story. After all, he has already found Joy Boy. Now, he needs to discover what Joy Boy will do with the world. This alone is enough to justify his search for a new purpose, and perhaps even his inclusion in the Grand Fleet. But would Luffy accept this, or would Kaido have to find a way to contribute without the Straw Hat's consent? For Kaido, since the awakening of Gear 5, Luffy's figure was no longer just an obstacle, but the realization of something greater, something Kaido couldn't ignore. Joy Boy, represented in the figure of Luffy, had the power not to destroy Kaido, but to change everything Kaido believed was his purpose. This doesn't mean Kaido accepted his defeat peacefully, but rather that he came to terms with the reality that he would no longer be the center of the world. He always sought to be the greatest, the strongest, the unbeatable. But upon meeting Luffy and being defeated by him, Kaido found something even more important: true freedom. And here, the theory deepens. Kaido may have been defeated, but that doesn't mean he simply lost his life or his power. What happened to Kaido, instead of being an end, was the beginning of a new journey. It wouldn't be impossible for him, after the events in Wano, to find a new mission, a new reason to live. The encounter with Luffy not only destroyed him physically, but also made him rethink his own role in the world. Kaido, who had been a monster in his pursuit of destruction, could now see in Luffy not just his enemy, but someone who might guide him in a new direction. However, Kaido would never be the type of person to simply submit to another's command. Luffy, being who he is, also doesn't have a rigid way of controlling his crew, and doesn't interfere with the Grand Fleet, but he would hate to have Kaido acting like he's part of the Straw Hats. However, Kaido could become an ally not because he would submit to Luffy, but because Luffy represents a change in the world that Kaido in some way wants to see happen. Kaido doesn't need to be a subordinate. He could indeed help the Grand Fleet, but because of his own interests and his new perspective on the world. It wouldn't be impossible for Kaido to act strategically for Luffy's cause, even without Luffy's direct consent. In other words, Kaido wouldn't need to ask to join the fleet. He could actually act on his own, as a kind of ally off the radar. This type of anti-hero behavior wouldn't be new to One Piece, and in many ways, it would even be expected. Kaido, thus, would become something more complex than just the villain of the story. He could act as a sort of shadow, moving in the background, facing the Marines, or even Blackbeard, but without Luffy knowing exactly what Kaido was doing. It wouldn't be a formal union, but an implicit collaboration. A collaboration between two figures who, despite their differences, share the same vision for the future, a new world. What do you think about this possibility? Comment. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.